Have you ever seen someone who you thought was absolutely heartbroken after a breakup, only to watch them bounce back practically right away? They post selfies, flirt with new people, and act like nothing happened. It can be hard to believe. You're still struggling to deal with the termination of the relationship, but they have already moved on as if it were just another Tuesday. It's not about being emotionally strong or mature. It's something else. It's about how certain people, especially narcissists, deal with loss, rejection, and emotional attachment in ways that are very different from how other people do. This video is for you if you've ever felt confused or misled by how quickly someone seemed to get over hurting you. We're going to look into an interesting psychological phenomenon. Why do narcissists seem to move on so quickly? What is really going on behind their charm, confidence, and seeming strength? What goes through their minds when they have to deal with something that should hurt? It's not only about being curious, it's also about being clear. Clarity that can help you keep your heart safe, make better choices in the future, and keep you from becoming yourself in the same emotional trap again. Let's get started. At first, a narcissist may seem very close to you. They'll give you a lot of attention, do big things for you, and say what you want to hear. But here's the thing, what they provide isn't true closeness. It's a show, an illusion that has been deliberately crafted to attract you in and keep you emotionally involved. People often call this love bombing, and it's a common way to make someone else dependent on you and give you more control over them. The narcissist doesn't bond with others the same way you do, even though you may have fell in love because you had similar experiences, were open, and trusted one another. Their relationships aren't based on respect or emotional give and take, they're based on business. That implies that from the start, they are always thinking about what they can gain out of the connection. So when things go wrong, like a breakup, a fight, or just a time when you stop paying them the attention they want, they don't feel the loss the same way you do, because it wasn't truly about love for them. It was about getting approval, having power, and being in charge. That's why they can leave so simply. Think of it as a game. It hurts to lose at something you really care about. You think about it a lot, you doubt yourself, and you go over the events in your thoughts. But if you weren't really into it and were simply playing for fun or to boost your ego, it's easy to let it go and move on to the next round. For the narcissist, every relationship is merely another game, and when one ends, they just look for the next one. This is where psychology enters in. Clinical research shows that narcissism is a spectrum with healthy self-esteem on one end and pathological narcissism, which includes elements of psychopathy and manipulative behavior on the other. People with high levels of narcissistic personality disorder, NPD, are true narcissists. They lack what psychologists call empathic attunement. In other words, they have a hard time really understanding or feeling what other people are going through. They also don't have what we call emotional depth. You may have put your heart and soul into the relationship, but they were only interested on what they could get out of it: sex, admiration, resources, and status. So when it's over, they don't feel the kind of sadness or guilt that would hurt them for a long time. In fact, research shows that narcissists often feel better after a relationship ends. Why? Because they don't have to pretend to care anymore, not having to keep up the appearance. And most crucially, they are free to look for the next thing that will make them feel good. It's not that they don't feel emotions. They certainly sense rage, irritation, and even short periods of melancholy. But those sentiments don't last long and aren't really deep. They don't come from a real connection. Instead, they come from hurt pride or a bruised ego. And here's the most important thing. Narcissists don't mourn losses the same way that regular people do, because they don't build relationships in the same manner. They see relationships as tools, not values. Cognitive dissonance avoidance is another reason they get better so soon. They either change reality to fit their inflated self-image or throw it away completely so they don't hang about wondering what went wrong when a relationship ends badly. In their heads, they change the story to say, "You weren't good enough. You were dull. I should have gotten better." This mental gymnastics lets them move on without having to face any real consequences. They don't think about things, they don't grow, and they don't heal. They just change their focus. And maybe the most unsettling part is that some narcissists like the chaos of breaking things off. Ending a relationship offers them a sense of power, that they are in charge one more time. That's why some people will ignore you, insult you, or be mean to you at the end, not because they despise you, but because they enjoy being in charge. So if you're wondering how someone could hurt you so badly and then act like nothing happened, remember that they weren't attached to you. They were connected to the part you played in their life. They throw away that role right away when it's no longer helpful. It can be jarring to see how different your emotional response is from theirs. You could start to wonder if you are worth anything and if the relationship was really real. But the reality is, it did mean something to them. It just didn't mean what you thought it meant. That's why getting over a narcissist isn't about waiting for them to come back or say they're sorry. It's about realizing that their speedy recovery doesn't mean your pain isn't real. Your sadness is real. Your pain is important, and just because they moved on quickly doesn't imply that what you went through didn't matter. This means that you were with someone who couldn't love you the way you deserve. What can you learn from all of this? First, know that how quickly they let go says more about them than it does about you. It shows how emotionally shallow they are, how much they need to be in charge, and how hard it is for them to make real connections. Second, know that you are not the only one. A lot of people have this same experience and are confused by how quickly their ex seems to forget everything. But knowing is power. You are less likely to fall for the same things again now that you know how a narcissist works. Third, let yourself feel what you feel. Don't look at their healing time frame and think yours is the same. Your heart needs time to heal, and your wounds need space to breathe. Finally, use what you've learned from this event to be more discerning, not to fail. You now know what red signs to look for, what behaviors to stay away from, and what kind of love is really worth your time and effort. It could seem strange or even annoying how quickly a narcissist gets better. But if you grasp how they think, it's clear they weren't as interested as you were. And that doesn't say anything about your worth. It says something about their limits. So even though it's hard, let their ability to move on easily remind you that you were never truly equal in emotional depth. And that's fine. You shouldn't go after love that hurts you, because that kind of love will only hurt you again. Thanks for watching. Please pass this on to someone who might need it if it helped you comprehend your own situation. Awareness is the first step to healing, and you're already on the right track.